Good evening and welcome. Welcome to my live stream. Tonight we're going to fight CPS and stop taking our children. I'm your host, Bob Pace, and I've been doing this twice a day, weekly, monthly, and yearly. I've started this in October of 2023, and that's 14 live streams a week. I'm on every day, twice a day. Monday through Friday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 a.m., and Sunday at 8 a.m. In the evenings, I'm on at 7 p.m. Now, those are all Pacific Standard Time on the West Coast of California. They're an hour-long live stream, and I want to thank you all for finding me on Facebook, Fight CPS with Bob Pace. You've been channeled into this YouTube room. This YouTube room is the CPS defense attorney, Vince Davis. And so that's the name of the room. Now, this is an interactive live stream, meaning that you can participate in this. In fact, we have people that come back here time and time again, 20 to 30 people that are regulars that attend both sessions. And they help everybody. I'm so happy to have these people help. Now, all you have to do is listen, take notes, and if you like to send emojis, that'd be great. I love hearts. I love smiley faces. I love thumbs up. Also, if you can send me some stars, that'd be great. Please check below to follow me and write reviews. Also, you'll be notified when on. Check the notification. And that way you'll never miss any of my live streams. Now, besides listening and taking notes, you can interact with this live stream. There are 3 ways. Additionally, you can text a message, such as a comment or a question that pertains to CPS. Please state your first name and your city or county and state. If you're outside the United States, your country, yes, this is international broadcast on this live stream. I have 22 countries, from Bangladesh to India to the Middle East to Libya to Africa, and I have the Republic of Congo, the latest one, to Rwanda, South Africa, then up to Europe, England and Scotland and Wales, Denmark and Sweden, and across the Pacific. Before I go across the Pacific, I go across the pond, which is the Atlantic, and I go to North America, and I have Canada and the USA and Mexico, and down in South America, Grenada, and then across the Pacific, New Zealand and Australia, and Queensland, and state of Victoria. So I have a good representation also from all 50 states, and I also have from the District of Columbia. So that's a lot of people. It's 1,500, over 1,500 people have been in my live stream. The one thing they have in common is that they're with an entity that's gone rogue, that's torn apart their family. They did not do family reunification or help with the family whatsoever. And that is sad. Also, many of you are low income. And it shouldn't be that way to penalize people because of their income status. But it seems like people that are low, CPS knows they will not have money for a real attorney. They won't be able to fight this. So they kind of railroad and walk all over you. And I'm sorry for that. That is terrible. There are horror stories about CPS, what they do to families. They take your children with no reason. They're in danger, and suddenly they ask for your children, they take them. Now, I learned the hard way. I am blessed to have helped raise 6 children. 3 of them are older ones, and they have families of their own, and they seem to be doing quite well. My 3 younger ones were with me and my wife when they stole them out of the home, trafficked them into foster care. They were not in danger, but they took them anyway. They're in school. And then they were taken to a shelter where they were put in danger, and then later into foster care where they're further put into danger. So I know firsthand about experiences, and I have developed 5 rules that you need to go by. Rule 1 is always get yourself a professional attorney schooled in the areas of juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. Document, document, document. Get yourself a notebook 3 inches thick with binders and have subject tabs in it, and create a very important document called the incident time log. That's where you devote 3 sentences for each incident on notebook paper. The first line, you put the location or the phone number. Further, you put the date and time the incident happened. And then what you do is you put the people that are involved. That all goes on the first line. The second line is a 1 sentence summary of what the incident was about. The third line is the conclusion of the incident, how it came about. If you don't know the answer, don't panic, because you'll get the answer. You come back later and fill it in. Skip a couple lines, write your next incident and your next incident. Incidents with the police, incidents with social workers, incident with the CPS, incident with the school, so forth. Anything that's an incident, you write it down. Document, document, document. Now, rule number 3 is you do not allow CPS or police in your home. You do not talk to them, and you do not let them take your children, especially with the medical trafficking. They are trying to take children from mothers just having babies, or parents bring their kids because they're sick, and they over here and try to take your children. So be very careful. Rule number 4 is work the internet. Find out as much as you can about CPS. It's very important that you format your search words. Start off with the city, followed by the state. If it's a small city, put that city, comma, large city, and then the state. Then after the state, put CPS. If you're from a country, put your country and then CPS. Lots of things will pop up. If you want to refine it and find more about CPS, list it. Like you say, you want to search for a juvenile law, family law, dependency law, lawyer. You put that after CPS. Or you want to know what a 160 hearing's about. You put that in after CPS. Or what is the ICWA 1978, the Indian Child Welfare Act? And you put that after the CPS. So that's how you're going to search and spend 60, 80 hours. My last rule is to make copies of all your documents, your marriage certificates, your birth certificates, your children's birth certificates, the social security cards, the shot records of your children, their grade reports from school, any medical reports, those kinds of things. Make copies of all that, put it in an envelope, and keep it with your notebook. That way you can prove to the agency certain medical issues or certain legal issues. Now, if you're going to text a comment, make sure that, or a question, it should pertain to CPS. Also, please tell me about your CPS case from beginning to where you're at. Now, we have some people that come into my room, and I want to recognize them. There's Victoria Hammer. I remember talking to you earlier today. Hello, I'm so glad you joined me today. Victoria Hammer, if you could refresh where you're from, that would be great. That would be great. Dr. Death, I haven't talked to you in a while, Doctor. It's good to see you again. And if you could tell me where you're from, that would be great. Same thing with S. Jarrett. Welcome. And S. Jarrett's been in before too. Dr. Sev, what should you do if CPS takes your kids 5 hours away from their mom and dad? Well, that's wrong. They got to make it accessible to have visitations. 5 hours is not close enough for visitations. That means 10 hours out of your day is going to be spent driving. That is wrong, and CPS is wrong for doing that. Now, Dr. Death says he's in Iowa. Okay, how can this CPS case be 5 hours away? What county? Are they taking it to a different county, or what are they doing, Dr. Death? And I'd like to try to help you, Doctor. And Victoria and S. Jarrett, if you can tell me where you're at, that'd be great. Now, another way that you can interact with this live stream is to be a guest. Be a guest on my live stream. You email our show producer, Grace, at vincentwdavis.com with the day and the time you want to be on our show. You just tell her I want to be on Bob's Friday morning show, or Bob's Wednesday night show, or Bob's Monday morning show, or Bob's Tuesday night show. That's all you have to do. She'll send you a link. I use StreamYard as the application on YouTube. And you go ahead and follow the link, and you'll be on YouTube, and you'll be just like me. We'll be able to talk. And I can take up to 9 of you. With me makes 10. So we have 10 people talking and helping one another and answering questions. So that is another way that you can be on my live stream. Also, the producer will tell you what you can do and not do on the live stream, such as no smoking or eating on the live stream. And you don't use names. Now, a third way to react with this live stream is to call me right now. My number's up, 626-698-0990. And you're welcome to call me. And if you called me before, call me again. I love to talk to you. Remember, if you call me or you're a guest on my live stream, you get a free 15-minute private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis. He's one of the top attorneys in the country for fighting CPS. He has 39 years of fighting CPS. His background is juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. Further, he's a trial attorney. And he's also, when your case is done, has fought civil lawsuits against CPS and won millions of dollars, both in state court and federal court. So he's the real deal, and you should consider him as one of your 3 quotes you get on attorneys. And his rate is $500 an hour. His retainer for LA County is $5,000. Now, it will go up depending where your location is. If it's out of state, he'll do it, but he's got to cover his per diem, meaning his airfare, his ground transportation, and his accommodations and food and accommodations. Those 4 things are put on to his legal fees. So he has lots of people that he's trying to cover. He has cases in Missouri, in Oklahoma, in San Bernardino, Riverside County, LA County, Orange County. He has another case up in Merced. So there's lots of people he's trying to help. Lots of people he's trying to help. That's right. You live in Mariposa County. I'm sorry, S. Jarrett. I forgot. But the CPS case is Merced. Well, you're in the same area as Margaret is. Margaret has one in Merced, California. So how come did you move after your CPS took your children? I would like to share with you, but we're still in the investigation phase, and they told me I'm not allowed to talk about in court is Monday. Understood. That's okay, Jarrett. You can listen. I'm not trying to tell you to say anything, and that's understandable. But I'm trying to understand. Did you move to Merced, and the cases in Mariposa County? But even Merced County to Mariposa is not 5 hours. Now, Dr. Des says they're going to keep the court in Iowa, and CPS has pushed my kids away their family. I'm so sorry. That's terrible. Hello, Megan. And you're from Oklahoma. Welcome, Megan. I think you're new. I don't know if you've been on my show before, but a warm welcome out there. And you said no in Iowa. They're going to keep the court in Iowa, and CPS push my kids away from their family. Well, you have to understand CPS is corrupt. It's a money-making thing to them. Trillions of dollars goes to CPS. If you just think about a couple things. One, the government flows cash freely from the federal to the state and from the state to the county. And in 1994, President Clinton signed into law the Incentive Act, where the CPS entities are given $35,000 to have a child adopted in foster care. They're trying to stop family reunification, and that is wrong. That is totally, totally wrong. So that's where they're getting the money. I know it's $20,000 per child per month that they're getting just to have your children in their custody. It's really bad, but it's a money-making thing is why CPS is the way they're doing it. They're not in there for the family. They don't believe in reunification. Now, Jared says, nope, she took the kids because their father lives in Atwater in Merced County. They primarily live with me. They go to school in Merced County where I work. Okay. But doctor said there's money. You're hungry. I know the feeling. I don't know if any of you know it, but I do earn a job at Bangladesh wages, and I've not been paid in 20 days, and it's really hard for me to pay my bills. And I keep working and working and working, but not get paid. And it's a sad state of affairs when you work and you don't get paid because you need to take care of your family. I'm very fortunate to have two of my family members still live with me. Me and my wife we had to sell our home, a quick sell, when we fought CPS in 2015. I had to get money for my attorney, who was Mr. Davis, Vincent Davis. And I'm glad I did because he got back my son, but he's also a very aggressive attorney. And he caught the social worker committing perjury on the stand. She had sworn an oath, the truth, but she lied about the family that wanted to adopt her daughter, that they were good parents and they never had domestic violence. Well, Mr. Davis flushed out the social worker, and he did some private investigation and found news reports of domestic violence, but also the physical domestic violence. That's not a place for a 12-year-old girl to go. So he shot my wife's sister and her husband down because they were trying to adopt our daughter. But the social worker wanted to retaliate, so she told us parents, you'll never see your daughter. She in turn went to our 12-year-old daughter at the time and said, you're going to emancipate from your parents, divorce your mom and dad, and also divorce your 3 brothers, your 2 sisters, your grandparents, both sets of them, your aunts and uncles and cousins. Divorce them all. She did that, and then she was told to change her name, and she destroyed her name. She had a beautiful middle name called Hanalei. It's a place in Kauai that's like the Garden of Eden. Anyway, my daughter's beautiful, and that's why he came with the name, but that's gone. And on top of that, she sealed the birth certificate, and we're no longer the parents of a child. How can we biological have a child and say we're not the parents? But instead, they got a new birth certificate and put the foster care people as the parents, which is far from the truth. Not only that, they're so corrupt, they went and got a second Social Security card for her so she could double dip in my Social Security account and get more money, duplicate money for my retirement. Now, that money is given to older people that have children later in lives to help them take care of their children. But that money is going to the foster parents who make combined incomes, a $500,000. So, it's kind of like gravy. They're getting there. Meanwhile, my retirement gets reduced and reduced and reduced. So I'm telling you, you got to be really careful of these animals. I call the rogue CPS people animals because they really are. This one person was talking today how they relish in telling parents how awful of parents you are. It was really sad to hear all this from talking to one of my listeners. Now, Megan says, I filed a federal suit April 11th, 2025. That's just a couple weeks ago in Eastern District Federal Court. I was on the show before. Okay, great. Great, Megan. And you filed the thing on the 11th. You ever heard anything back from them, Megan? Because hopefully your attorney prepared it well. Dr. Death, how do you do a federal need help with it, filing it out? Well, first of all, you need an attorney to help you file a civil lawsuit, one that knows how to fight CPS. But you got to make sure all parties get served. You have to go through and see which constitutional rights or civil rights that were violated. Hi, Betty Jo, and welcome. Betty Jo is a sweet grandmother, who has a niece. Her brother has a child, and they're trying to get their child back from Iowa. Or no, from Nebraska. That's right, from Nebraska to Montana. Anyway, she's a foster care mom, and she takes care of kids very well. She had a little child who lost their parents a couple months ago on the weekend due to a car accident, and she took the child in. The child loved her so much, he calls her mom, and he even calls her. He's going to be adopted by family members, but he still calls her to tell her how much he loves her. So, Betty Jo, you're a beautiful mother, and I really appreciate you having you on the show. Now, Kenny Anderson, I don't know if you're new or not, but you had administrative hearing with CPS Tuesday. CPS attorney lied under oath. That's typical. They commit perjury all the time, and was forced to admit that she didn't follow policy when completing the CASA records. She tried to blame it on being busy. Well, that's still no excuse for a CPS worker or attorney or anybody else supposed to be doing that. And Betty Jo says, I know that little boy. I had the little boy back. She had to take the boy because he was being adopted, but I guess the family didn't work out. So the little boy's now with Betty Jo. That's awful sweet of you, Betty Jo. You're a wonderful foster mom. I wish all foster moms were like you. We have Jade Coronado. My name is Jade Coronado from Reno, Nevada. My question today is, what can I do about CPS receiving my son's SEC checks? I guess you mean Social Security checks every month since 2018, and refuse to help the boy for his necessity. All you have to do is call the Social Security Department and tell them that they're misusing your son's who's getting those checks. That's all you have to do, is call the Social Security and tell them that the Child Protection Agency is getting the checks and use the money for other things. So that's what you need to do, Jade. And thank you so much for coming on here. Kenny Anderson says, she said that it didn't matter that her reports were 6 months late because she took detailed notes, then admitted to shredding those notes. Well, that's terrible. That's no good. That's typical. You got to be on top of that, Kenny. You got to be on top of that. Betty Jo further says, he's going to be my son in 2 weeks. Oh, wow. Betty Jo's actually going to adopt a little boy that lost his parents in a car accident. That is the sweetest thing I've heard, Betty Jo. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing that young boy, who I think is 4 years old, wants to have Betty Jo as her mother. I mean, it's very tragic the way it happened. This is a case where the child's parents were killed, and so he's left alone. So CPS intervened, but fortunately, CPS is allowing Betty Jo to temporarily have him till she can adopt him formally. So that sounds really, really, really good. That's really, really good. Now, Kenny Anderson says, we requested those notes last June and was never told they were shredded. Well, that's typical. CPS will lie. They will cheat. They are terrible. You need to fight CPS with a real lawyer. Fighting CPS is like open heart surgery. You need a real lawyer trained in juvenile law, family law, and dependency law that can fight. The public defenders or the court-appointed attorneys in CPS cases are not, and what I mean by that, are not juvenile law, family law, or dependency lawyers. Instead, they're set with 30 more cases, so they keep so busy they don't have time to fight your case. They just want to move on and get the next case. They're hired by CPS. They're not to be trusted. And if you do have one and you're forced to use them, tell them they need to work hard on your case. And if they don't, then you will sue them for negligence and report them to the state bar and have them debarred. I mean, I'm serious. If you're going to use court-appointed attorneys or public defenders, you got to make them work. And they don't want to work. They're lazy and they're really no good, and they're hired by CPS, so they're not going to help you. You need a real attorney that is trained in juvenile law, family law, dependency law, attorney that's fought CPS and got children back. That's the kind of attorney, and I have one. His name is Vincent W. Davis. He's been doing it for 39 years, and I can set you up with him. You can call me between the hours of 8 and 10 in the morning, and from 11 to 1 in the morning, Monday through Friday. I talk to people all the time that like to hire Vincent Davis. So I tell them what they need to do and how they go about hiring him. Again, he is a pit bull of attorney. He's done lawsuits against CPS, so he's the real deal. He's the real deal. Yes, Betty Jo, with your heart as gold as it is, she says she's waiting to have a loving home. And it sounds like that's what she is. And she's not wanting it for the money. She never has said that. You know, she never has said that. So I'm so happy, Betty Jo, that you found a child that needs a mother. And he's already calling you mom, too. So I'm glad that you guys are asking me questions. I would love for one of you to call in. I have 30 minutes left. All you have to do is call my number, 626-980990. Now remember, you get a free 15-minute private Zoom consultation with Mr. Davis if you call in and talk or you're a guest on my live stream. That's free 15 minutes. And, you know, he normally charges $500 an hour. So He can give you a lot of information in 15 minutes. You make your list of questions, you prioritize the questions, and act away. He's not a clock watcher. He will listen, he will talk to you. He's the real deal. And you'll get a big sigh of relief after you talk to him. I hired him and he got my two boys back. Unfortunately, the trickster CPS stole my daughter by doing what she did. And I'm telling you, they are corrupt. All you have to do is think about the 8 social workers from Prescott, Arizona that bought pink t-shirts. No, they weren't there because of breast awareness. They got the pink t-shirts and stenciled on the front, professional child kidnappers. And on the back, they put, parents, do you know where your children are at? And they prayed around at all the big stores, Costco, Walmart, Sam's Clubs, J.C. Penney, Sears, May Company, Best Buy, Target. And they paraded with these pink t-shirts. And it sent the wrong kind of message so bad that the town of Prescott, Arizona fired the 8 social workers, and including the director of the Department of Children's Services, that CPS there. So they fired it, left with only one person to handle all the CPS complaints. And that's sad too, because it's hard for one person to handle that, because there's a lot they have to investigate, a lot of responsibility. Typically, there are about 1,000 children every day that go unreported. They need to be reported. There are bad parents out there. Not all CPS is bad. There's good CPS out there. Now, we just had Cruel come in, and thank you, Cruel. Cruel is Felicia, and she's from Ventura, California. And she had a home with her mother, but the family members turned on her, and now her mother's missing, and she hasn't seen her newborn babies in months, and her brother is really making her life miserable. Sometimes family members step in and do wrong, and that's sad. And I know you need help, Felicia. I know you're at a loss. What you need to do is talk to me by calling in on the show. Then you qualify for a free 15-minute with Mr. Davis, and you could talk to Mr. Davis. Felicia says, I don't know what more creativity I need to figure this out, but I feel like there's no winning here. CPS is not a winning battle. It's a very tragic battle to be in there. They don't care. It's all about money. They don't care about you. Still haven't seen her baby since September of last year. That is terrible. That is wrong. You're supposed to have visitation rights. And the Ventura CPS up there is very corrupt in California. Hi, Jade Coronado. Welcome, Jade. Jade talked earlier. She's from Reno, Nevada. See what she said earlier. There you go. Yeah, about the Social Security checks. All you have to do is call Social Security and tell them that they're misusing the Social Security checks that your son was getting, and you complain about CPS. Now, what can I do about CPS and psycho doctor has my son on Prozac, Trazodone, and Keteria, which is a controller substance. My substance is absent among other horrible side effects for these meds. Well, if you still have the medical rights, you have a right to express him not to have those medications. It's very important, if you have your medical rights, that you exercise your medical rights. It's your constitutional right. And it's wrong what they're doing. They should not be doing that to cause all those effects to your son. That is wrong there. Yes, Cruel. Mrs. G still hasn't gotten back to my emails. Well, I will send her again But what I need from you is your email or your phone number, Cruel, so I can send it to Mrs. G. I do have Mrs. G's uh, phone number I can give you too, and maybe you could call her on that. Let me see if I can get it. Okay, Mrs. G, where are you? I haven't talked to her in a while, so I have to go look up her right now. Mrs. G does the same thing I do, and she does live stream, and so I'm not sure what her schedule's like, but let me see here. I thought I had it here, but what you need to do, Felicia, is text me your name, your phone number, and your email. And what I'll do is I'll get it over to Mrs. G. Okay? You text me your name, your email, and your phone number, and I'll get it to Mrs. G. All right? Cruel? That's what I'll do. Okay, it's 37 minutes so far in this live stream. That means I have 23 minutes left to go. My phone number has been up since the start of the show. I love to have someone call in and talk about their case. Now, the other number on my screen, the 888-888-6582, is the number of the law offices of Vincent W. Davis. If you do call that number and want to speak to Mr. Davis, feel free to do so. Make sure you tell reception that Bob Pace sent you. And when you talk to Mr. Davis, say that Bob Pace sent you. Also, that is the law office of Vincent Davis. And so if you wanted a book or you want some information about the scheduled times for the live stream for Vincent Davis, for Bob Pace, for Mrs. G, for the different people that do live streams, they'll be able to tell you. They'll be able to tell you. So that number, 855-555-6582, is the law office of Vincent Davis. You can get yourself other attorneys too. That's not necessary to get the, if you want family law or you want to divorce or, Oh, well, you need to call her. You may have to call her a bunch of times. If I talk to her again, I'll tell her that Felicia Cruel from Ventura County is wanting to talk to you. Now, Jade Coronado says, Jade Coronado, Reno, Nevada, I know that. Can I call tomorrow after I make notes of what I need to ask? Sure. I'd love for you to call tomorrow. I'm on again at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Oh, boy, I didn't forget what today is. Every day rolls in another. Tomorrow's my daughter's birthday. Oh, it's Friday. So, yeah, call tomorrow. I'm on at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock in the morning. That's Pacific Standard Time on the West Coast of California. Now, tonight, I've talked a little bit about my rules. I've answered some questions tonight, but I still don't have anybody calling me. So I'm going to look up some topics to talk about, see what the latest news is about CPS. You know, we talk about how bad CPS is, but we still have parents do stupid things. Now, over in Hawaii, we had an incident happen, and what it was is the CPS worker talks about stopping a mom accused of driving with her kids on top of the vehicle. And she was asking the mother, "What were you thinking? What were you thinking?" A woman was arrested for allegedly driving with her kids on the roof of her car for at least 4 miles. That mother, identified as Eunice K.S. Conde, is now facing charges of child endangerment. The CPS worker who saw it and tried to put a stop to it is now talking about it. That witness, Nicole Duncan, said she was driving when she saw the three kids sitting on the roof of the car with their feet dangling through the sunroof. Duncan said Conde was driving over 40 miles an hour. Now, this is back on April 23rd that Duncan was leaving for work. She pulled out the parking lot and saw something that made her heart stop. Now, the woman claims she did not know it was illegal for kids to ride on top of the roof, police said, and could see no one hanging on top of the car. You know, that is sad. When parents can't even think right to allow a child, sitting in the opening of the sunroof on top of the roof. That's wrong. That's wrong. And this can happen anywhere. This has happened in Hawaii. And the social worker began honking and told the mother to slow down and to get on the side to tell her to pull over. But the woman kept going ahead and ahead and ahead. And I was like doing 40 miles an hour, the social worker next to the car. They had the children sitting on the roof as the car was flying down there. I started asking, "What were you thinking? Like, what happened?" And she was saying, like, "I didn't. The kids wanted to get up there and I didn't see anything wrong with it." Well, you got to think about it. If she had suddenly stopped, the kids with no seatbelts will go flying out into the street and get injured. There's no thinking or rationality. So there is bad cases of CPS that need to be investigated. So I do know that we need CPS. And so anyway, the social worker was stunned, and not just as a parent, she also called child protection service worker. She had just left the CP office when she saw this. As a parent, your job is to make sure that your kids are safe. And even if your kid thought it was okay as a parent, you're supposed to have more protective capacities than that. You're supposed to say no. Police arrested Conde. The 40-year-old woman was charged with 3 counts of child endangerment. Duncan says she hopes the mothers and others learn from this. "I wasn't acting as a CPS worker," Duncan said. "I was acting as a concerned person. She hopes others will do the same when it comes to children and people who can't protect themselves. It's our job to step in and act," she said. Duncan is now assigned to this case. Another worker is according to CPS, also tells that children are staying with the family. So this is a terrible, terrible thing that happened. And, people just aren't thinking. They just aren't thinking. So that's the latest news. That just happened a couple hours ago. And Jade, you can call tomorrow. I have not forgotten to. Let's see what other news I can find here, too. Now, here's one that is about 23 hours old. It talks about a CPS director talks about how they handle child abuse cases. Reno, Nevada. I guess Washoe County Human Service Director Ryan Gustafson tells us how they handle cases of alleged child abuse. This comes after protesters stood in front of the agency's building downtown calling for CPS to do better after the tragic death of Isabel Loving. Guston says that every year CPS gets over 6,000 reports of abuse or neglect, and they respond to nearly 1,500 of those reports that come in. Well, that's a very poor number. That's 3,500 reports that are going unanswered. Children are a vulnerable population. So if you see bruises, you see obvious signs, or you see significant behavior changes, certainly making a call is a wise thing, says Guston. Guston says that it's always better to be safe than rather be sorry, and to call and report because they keep track of these calls, and it helps them better determine the course of action. In a report to agency, it's not indicative of saying you're guilty. It's not a charge or adjudicating somebody. It's just saying, hey, I see something. I don't like how it looks. And so I'm going to call and let the agency handle it. Well, if they're good, then that's fine. But there's a lot of CPS that are not good. He also says taking children from home is not the goal of CPS. Well, a lot of rogue CPS says it is, but I'd rather make sure families and children are safe and have the proper resource to functions. Oftentimes, we're able to do with families, I get the resources they need and help them out. Well, I wish all CPS would think like that, Director. So maybe a tragic thought of what child welfare do, removing kids, utilizing foster homes for those kids. That is true, if what you're saying is true. He also says he sees why people might not think that it's the best course of action. He says it's not typically how people see CPS, especially if there's been abuse reports. But he says another issue they're struggling with is finding housing for children going into foster care. Well, if you do family reunification and help the parents with classes and stuff, they can. Since COVID, we lost over 50% of our foster homes and we're not be able to recover these homes. So when children do have to be removed from their homes, we don't have extended families or other close family members that the kids can go to. They end up going into a foster home or they end up going into a shelter. I'd clearly like to not have kids have to go into a shelter. But there's a bad case of the Isabel Loving case where a child um, where a child uh, was abused. That's hard to swallow. That's hard to swallow. Okay, it's now 10 minutes before I have to go. It's 10 minutes left. My phone number's still up. I'd love to hear from you. It's 626-698-0990. That's my phone number. And I want to thank Jess Coronado from Reno, Las Vegas. I want to thank Cruel Felicia from Ventura, California. And I want to thank Betty Jo from Montana, who has some good news to tell me about a little boy she's taking care of. And I know that her niece soon will be coming home to her brother. I want to thank Kenny Anderson for coming in and asking questions. Hi, Margaret King. It's good to see you. I somehow missed you earlier when you came on. And so she has a question. Can foster parents sue for children of their civil rights? Yes, if the children's civil rights have been violated, they can do a lawsuit too. It's best to have an attorney do any lawsuit civil-wise, but children's civil rights too are important. And I'm glad you asked that question, Margaret. Margaret is from Merced, California. And we've talked about Kenny Anderson. And Betty Jo. We have Megan, who has come in before and talked. We have Dr. Death from Iowa. Glad that you came onto my show, Dr. Death. Then there's the Megan and Jarrett. And Jarrett's in Mariposa County near Merced, California. So S. Jarrett and Margaret are close to each other. And we have Dr. Death from Iowa that has a terrible case there. And let me see who else. Victoria Hammer, who talked to me earlier today. And it was nice to hear from her. And I'm glad she's joined me tonight. I want to thank everybody that has come into this family of mine and help one another and tell them about your stories and ask the questions you do. It's very hard to fight for your child with corrupt CPS agencies. I call CPS the Child Protection System. It's a system of agencies in every county and every state. It's also worldwide in the cities there. The sad part is there's many that have gone rogue, meaning they think about money more than they think about family reunification or the children. And it is corrupt. Now, I'm not saying all CPS is bad, but there's enough of it that really a bad apple makes everything else look bad. So I'm here to help you, 7 days a week, twice a day. That's 14 live streams that I do. And I've not missed one yet. And it's hard because I try to come up with something new and interesting. And it works best if you all participate either as a guest on my live stream or the call in. A guest on my live stream or call in. Remember, if you call in or a guest on my live stream, you get a free 15-minute private Zoom consultation from Mr. Davis, who normally charges $500 an hour. So you get that free consultation just by calling in or being a guest on my live stream. Now, Felicia, don't forget to text me with your name, email, and your phone number so that I can get a hold of Mrs. G for you. So I can send the information to Mrs. G, because I want you to be helped like that. Now, my time's going to be running out pretty soon. Is there anybody that has any questions? I have about 4 minutes left, and I was thanking everybody for coming into my room, because I'm here to help you all. I'm here to help you all. Any last minute thoughts? Okay, we have Intended Eve from Los Angeles, California, and it's good to see you again. Thank you for coming in. We've been talking about a lot of things, Intended Eve. Victoria Hammer, thank you so much for everything you're doing. Well, I thank you for making this important part of the program. I reach out and sent an email to Miss Grace about the possibility of being on the show. Good. Well, Victoria Hammer, you talked to me, and I sent her an email with your name and so forth, and you will be able to be with Miss Grace, with Vincent Davis. That has been set up by me, so it's okay. And Tennedy says you recommended making a complaint through CPS, through DOJ or DOGE. It's through Doge. It's DOGE.gov. There are 2 phone numbers, and you should talk to them. You should talk to them. It's not DOJ. DOJ is the Department of Justice, but it's Doge, and it's the government entity that is trying to investigate our government. I'm glad you were here too, Intended Eve, and thank you for being part of this live stream. With that being said, I'm going to end my live stream. Thank you all. God bless you, and keep fighting for your kids. Do not give up. And this is Bob Pace telling you all I'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Good night.